While most players are busy discussing building tools, cast features, and comparisons to The Sims, Paralives is already beginning to develop its own lore. At first glance, Melina seems like an ordinary cozy town, but if you look a little closer, strange details start to emerge. The town's most intriguing families, their secrets, hidden connections, and what they might reveal about the mysterious lurking beneath the surface of Merino. One of the most fascinating households in Merino is the Marquez family. The home is occupied by Sebastian Marquez and his adopted son Eli. According to the family's official biography, Sebastian's passion for cooking began in childhood, thanks to his grandmother. She was the one who inspired his dream of one day opening his own restaurant. The first thing that stands out when exploring the Marquez property is the massive kitchen. It's packed with different details connected to food preparation. It quickly becomes clear that cooking isn't just Sebastian's profession, it's his life's passion. But Sebastian's life hasn't been easy. He wasn't always alone. He once had a partner named Lucas, and together they adopted Ellie. However, Lucas later passed away, leaving Sebastian to raise his son on his own while coping with loss and try to build a new future. Because of this, many players believe that the secrets hinted at in the family's official description may be connected to the Sebastian's tragic past. But mysteries don't end there. At first glance, the Marquez house feels like one of the warmest and most welcoming homes in town. Everything changes, however, when the player ventures into the basement. There you will discover a small storage area packed with all sorts of items. Among these items is a skeleton. It could just be a part of collection of seasonal decorations, but who knows? Next to the storage area is a hidden passage. What's interesting is that the game never explains why the Marquez house has direct access to the ruins. For now, it's unclear whether the passage is connected to the family's story or simply another secret left behind by the developers. Players can discover secret rooms, hidden corridors, and even entire labyrinths can be found inside the old library and town hall building. Exploring this passages reveals forgotten rooms, strange objects, skeletons, hidden doors, and connected pathways. Those who make it all the way through the maze can reach the top of the tower, where a golden chest awaits. Inside is an rock, a decorative pet rock that became one of the first unusual discoveries made by the Paralives community. Locations like this raise an obvious question: what else is Melina hiding? But while the Marquez family introduces us to the town's mysteries through a hidden passage, the next household hides its mystery in plain sight for everyone in Melina to see. We're talking about the Pelletier family and the mysterious lair graffiti. But the graffiti isn't the only strange thing about this house. If you take a closer look at the property's layout, you will notice something unusual. The house contains 3 bedrooms. One is clearly the parents' room, while another belongs to their son. The third one, however, feels completely out of place. It's filled with moving boxes and looks as someone either moved out very recently or is preparing to move in. What's especially interesting is the relationships between the family members provide no obvious clues. The game never directly explains why this room sits empty or who it may have belonged to. As a result, players are left with plenty of questions. Interestingly, the developers reveal very little about the Patel family. According to their official biographies, Asha works in the medical field while Raul is involved in culture and education. Their relationship appears stable, healthy and successful, and that's where the official information largely ends, which is exactly what makes their home so interesting. The house is noticeably cluttered, as if its residents have been struggling to keep up with everyday responsibilities for quite some time. Holiday decorations are still hanging around, even though the festive season has long since passed. There is also a room that clearly resembles a child's bedroom. Toys and furniture suggest the presence of a young child, despite the fact that the household consists of only 2 characters. Another intriguing detail is an asthma inhaler that can be spotted among the family's belongings. Taken together, these clues raise questions about what's really happening in their households. Perhaps a child once lived here Kia, it's time to talk about a character whose biggest mystery revolves around relationships. Julien Gervais lives alone and works as the creative director at Clickwork Industries, one of Melino's largest companies. At first glance, he appears to have it all. He is intelligent, organized, successful in his career, and lives in one of the most stylish homes in town. His house is decorated with dark colors, expensive furnishing, and a sleek modern aesthetic that gives the impression of someone who has complete control over his life. Julien has a workplace rival named Samantha Stark. The two work for the same company and officially share several relationship statuses: co-workers, acquaintances, and enemies. But among these labels is one detail that changes everything: a secret crush. Despite their constant competition, Julien is secretly in love with Samantha. What's even more interesting is that Samantha doesn't share the same relationship status. From her perspective, Julien is simply a co-worker and a rival. In many ways, Julien has found himself in the middle of a classic enemies to lovers storyline. The only problem is that, for now, the romance exists on one side only. If Julien's story revolves around unrequited feelings, then the Preston Bowman family show that even the most perfect picture can hide a surprising number of problems. At first glance, they seem like Melino's ideal family: a beautiful home, successful parents, 2 children, and a life that appears almost flawless. But their official biography suggests that things are far more complicated beneath the surface. The head of the household is Pauline. She likes to keep everything under control and holds both herself and those around her to extremely high standards. Her husband Gerard tries to make time for his family, but constantly finds himself balancing the demands of work and home life. Perhaps the most interesting story belongs to their daughter Zoe. She is at that stage of life where she is beginning to figure out who she really is and what she wants for her future. And that's where the family's central conflict begins to emerge. While her parents work hard to maintain the image of a perfect family, their children are gradually starting to build lives on their own and make their own decisions. After all the family drama, mysteries, and secret crushes, it's time to talk about one of the sweetest stories in all of the Melino. Before we continue, I have to disappoint some of the viewers watching this video. I know many of you have already set your sights on Kian Cross and were probably planning to pair him up with your own character. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. Kian is already taken. The Darcier household consists of Celine Darcier and Kian Cross. Their relationship immediately stands out because they seem like complete opposites. Celine loves romance, cozy evenings, baking, and peaceful lifestyle. She is drawn to beautiful things, warm atmospheres, and the comforts of home. Kian, on the other hand, is passionate about motorcycles, heavy music, spicy wings, and loud concerts. Even their home's interior reflects this contrast. Some rooms feature cozy romantic touches, while others are filled with items that feel much more aligned with Kian's rebellious personality. In many ways, the Darcier house becomes a reflection of their relationship itself. So if you enjoy this format and would like to see a follow-up covering the rest of Melino's families, their secrets, and the theories surrounding them, let me know in the comments. For now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next videos.